I'm Alison Page. I'm a Walbunja and Wadi woman from La Perouse in Sydney, and I describe myself as a designer, a filmmaker and an artist. I was one of those kids that, grew up in Houso. I had a really crappy house. I was one of 6 girls, and I was one of those kids that was always kind of fixing up, my house. And I was aware that the space around you has an effect on you and can be an expression of who you are. I started studying design at UTS, and the thing that I struggled with the most was where design was in the 90s. It was really hedonistic. Sustainable design wasn't really on the radar. And it wasn't really until one of my lecturers, George Verghese, said to me, "Oh, have you heard about Aboriginal architecture?" And suddenly when I heard those 2 words put together in the same sentence, it's like an explosion went off. In my final year of uni, I ended up going to Canada and meeting Douglas Cardinal and meeting First Nations architects. It was there that I met Dylan Combermary, Kevin O'Brien, and forced my way into their practice, which was part of the Government Architect's Office in the late 90s. And that's when I joined Miramar Architecture. The clarity that I have around my work now, the very seeds of that were planted in those early days at Miramar. The Wilcannia Hospital redevelopment was where we really honed our practice around co-creating with communities. Collaborating is extremely important to me. When I talk about artistic influences, it's actually the communities and the artists that I'm collaborating with at the time. It's really immediate. It's a beautiful artistic practice because I never know what's around the corner. I'm always discovering new communities and new stories with every project that I do. When I started having children, I really started to feel this compulsion to start investing in culture itself, which is why I started Saltwater Freshwater Arts Alliance, which ran a festival and also had a design agency as part of it, developing the capacity of Aboriginal artists to put their designs onto products. In all of that diversity of work, the main thread that followed through all of that was storytelling, ancient stories and contemporary design. How can they come together? What's really interesting about the work that I'm doing with Nick in Zach Page now is the public art, the design, the architecture, the interiors, it's all come back into our practice. And so now we're looking at ways in which these things can converge with AR, VR, these types of things where the land is literally speaking to you through film and sound. I understand what Robin Boyd was on about when he was saying that Australia has to stop being second-hand American or second-hand England. It's about not transplanting architectural styles from other parts of the world, but growing our own style. And a really great place to start is in the world's oldest living culture. And that is something that we all have to be proud of.